Welcome back. President Biden laying out a $37 billion Safer America plan to voters in Pennsylvania today. The bill aims to boost law enforcement and reduce crime. He also made a plea to Congress to ban assault weapons. Let's talk about it with sociologist Dr. Jonathan Metzl, who's live with us here on Fox 5. We've been down this path before, Dr. Metzl, where we did have an assault weapons ban at one point in this nation's history. We started having conversations again over the last 10 years about weapons. What demonstrable changes, if any, has that made to society?
Well, it's important because President Biden, when he was a senator, was involved in the first assault weapons ban. He was a member of the Senate, was actively involved in that negotiation. I certainly think that over the roughly decade that we had an assault weapons ban, there were fewer deaths. Mass shootings were less lethal. There was less gun trafficking, for example, relatively less gun homicide. So I think there were some demonstrable effects of having an assault weapons ban. I think really the important point now is that the terrain is so different because regulating any particular kind of gun is much harder than it used to be because of ghost guns and different gun laws between different states and all the many guns that are already on the streets. And so the challenge is much greater now. But I do think he's right to draw the line between rising rates of crime and murder and lax gun laws and too many guns. You're
also a psychiatrist, and that brings to mind something that we've heard quite a bit especially after the last round of mass shootings, and we go back to the idea of mental health. And I think you can look at the health landscape in this country and agree that we have neglected mental health for a long, long time. But the problem is every time we point this out, and when people point to mental health as the root cause, it really ensnares a lot of people who also have, not every person who has a mental health condition goes out and commits these shootings.
That's exactly right. I mean, if you look at multiple victim gun homicides, the vast majority have no connection to mental illness whatsoever. That's not the case for a lot of the high-profile shootings we see, but even in those cases, mental illness is just one of many factors. So as a psychiatrist, I can never say somebody has this diagnosis and that's what caused them to do this. Mm-hmm. And so I think mass shootings are an opportunity for us to think about the many different factors that lead to gun crime, everything from access to guns, past history of violence, substance abuse often,
sure,
history of other things. And so it's just one of many factors.
One last question for you, because this plan the president's pushing calls for training and hiring 100,000 police officers. What does that do? I think, people are of the mindset for a long time that more police officers on the streets mean a safer mindset, that people feel safer instinctively. Does that hold true?
We have an untenable situation right now. I mean, crime is rising. And I think over the pandemic, we've seen rise in all kinds of crime, and people really want to feel safe. And the question is, what's going to get us there? Mm-hmm. We've seen many different extreme positions. I think this problem is going to continue to be an issue until we come together in the middle. And so I certainly think that more police would be helpful in conjunction with a bunch of other community initiatives and addressing guns head on.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. The question is what those approaches will be and what will work politically. That's another discussion for another day. Dr. Metzl, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the perspective here.
Anytime. Thanks so much.